What's up, my friends? Welcome back to Frogboy X1 Gaming. I'm Andrew, and I want to talk about a video that my good buddy Doc Dark just made about the Xbox Series X and Starfield and 30 frames a second and 60 frames a second. And he's completely right, man. He's completely right. You know, these games keep coming out with a 60 FPS mode well after they've already launched. And I mean, we've talked about this on the channel before. I don't think I ever outright said that the Xbox Series X couldn't run that game at 60 FPS because we know it can. I mean, we knew it can. I mean, if that console, if that Series X can run freaking Assassin's Creed Valhalla at 60 frames a second, it should be able. Being able to run that on a ROG Ally and get 60 frames a second, just lowering the freaking settings, there's no reason why the Xbox Series S shouldn't be able to get a 60 FPS. I mean, it might not look that great, obviously, but to be completely honest with you guys, the fact that Xbox, like Doc says, keeps giving us games at 30 frames per second, there's a reason why I went to PC. There's a reason why PC is my main platform now. Because I'm sick and freaking tired. I mean, both PlayStation and Xbox have been doing it this generation. PlayStation more so with, I mean, giving us 60 FPS, but locking us to that damn console as our only first option to play that game at launch. That makes me mad with the PlayStation. So boom, switch to PC, don't even care. Xbox, man, 30 frames per second. That is not what we were promised at the beginning of this generation. And it shouldn't be the standard. And Doc's right about, you know, Hellblade 2. Obviously, they can drop the settings and make that game run at 60 frames per second. Would you want to run that one at 60 frames per second? I mean, at this point right now, from what I've seen of Hellblade 2, it does look like the most impressive Unreal Engine 5 game we've seen to date. It does. And I've seen how Unreal Engine 5 runs on the PC. The more detailed the game gets, the harder it is to run. Like you are definitely, going to struggle with that. But I run everything at ultra settings on my PCs. I run everything at ultra freaking settings. So yeah, it could be potentially harder to run that. But he is right. That does look like it's going to be another corridor game like the first game. Maybe it should launch with a 60 FPS mode. The thing is and he is kind of right, man. The more we sit here and tell them it's okay to do this, the more they're going to keep doing this because it's easier that way. You know, they put out their 30 frames per second game. They get all the cells. We beta test it. We play it. You know, we go through the whole game. That is our first experience. And that's the most important experience, is your first experience with the game. Who the hell wants to start a game over again and replay that? I mean, if Starfield's your thing, if that's your jam and you're playing that game for 1,000 hours and you're finally getting a 60 FPS update, imagine that. Imagine putting all that time and all that effort into there just for them to finally bring out an update to give you 60 frames per second. Now, I don't want to pile on. Obviously, I'm grateful that Todd Howard and the team are able to do this. Clearly, it was possible at launch. I honestly think that what's happened with most of these games is there was pressure from Microsoft or the fans or whoever to get games out as fast as possible for the Xbox, because for some reason there's this thing about exclusive games. I'll tell you what, like, I don't think I have ever bought a console purely for, well, I mean, obviously I have, but in turn, like for exclusives, that's not the only reason I've ever bought a console. I've always bought my consoles and my video gaming so that I could play multiple games. Like, I've never just been like, oh yeah, I'm just going to buy this just for the exclusives. You know, I mean, for a while there, you know, you get to a point where you're like, oh man, I don't want to buy two systems, so you got to pick one. But I mean, every generation I've owned every single console that's ever came out. Like every console from Nintendo Entertainment System forward, I've bought every single one of them when they came out, and I played them. So Xbox One is the first time I was just like, yeah, I'm just going to stay just with the PlayStation this time. I'm just going to do the PS4. It's cheaper. I can just play that. It's got more power, blah, blah, blah. That was in the beginning of that generation. It was like, man, I was working a lot and doing all that. So it was just like, okay, this is it. This is what I'm going to buy. This is what I'm going to do. But then Blizzard Mountain from Forza Horizon 3 came out, and I was like, oh, dude, I want to play that. So I went and bought an Xbox just so I could play that. But, if you look at this stupid console generation, and that's what I'm going to call it. I think this is the dumbest console generation we've ever been in. This is the only one that I've ever... This is the only console generation I've ever actually got mad enough and got... to the point where I'm like, man, I'm just like, I would have never went PC even when I had this channel for the first year, even knowing I needed a PC for the channel. It wasn't even on my radar to play games on the PC. I was like, no, man, the Series X and the PS5, blah, blah, blah. And I was super happy. And then Microsoft started dropping this 30 FPS shit in our lap. And I was like, okay, maybe I will freaking, you know what the game was that kind of, pushed me over the top to play on PC. It was gosh dang it, what the heck is the name of that thing now? Ghostwire Tokyo. Ghostwire Tokyo is the one where I was like, when I bought it on the PlayStation 5 and it absolutely looked like ass, I was like, no, I am not playing this on the PlayStation 5. This looks absolutely terrible. So I played that on the 3080. Or actually the 3060 Ti. I played that on the 3060 Ti. And I went through that whole freaking game. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me, man? This looks absolutely incredible on PC. And this is a 3060 Ti. And it's running better than the PlayStation 5 and all of that stuff. And, that was the first game that I ever beat on the PC. And that was the first one that I was like, no, dude. And like I bought a second copy of that game just so I could play it on the PC because I really wanted to play that one, but I did not want to play it on the PlayStation 5. It's stupid. There's like too many different modes, too many this, too much that, and it's like none of them felt polished or anything. And I was like, dude, I'm not playing this game at 60 or 30 frames per second because all of these consoles keep coming out with this 30 frames per second when you guys know, if you've been at this channel for a while, I've been saying for the longest time that I would much rather have freaking last gen graphics with higher frame rate. I thought the graphics last generation were pretty good. And I was okay with that. I was okay with those visuals with better performance. And the thing that cemented that for me was Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I was like, dude, this game looks incredible. It plays at 60 frames per second. It feels smooth. If we would have just kept getting games that looked as good as Valhalla at 60 frames a second, man, I don't think I would have ever given PC a second thought. Like I would have just been like, okay, whatever, I don't really care to play on that. But then 8 months after a game comes out, or however many months it's been, what did it come out? November, and now we're already in freaking December, January, February, March, April, May. Dude, we're already like 5 months out from the launch of this game, and we're just barely getting a 60 FPS mode, and we just barely got, we got a 60 FPS mode for Redfall. Why do they keep launching these games and then bringing a 60 FPS update later? Why not just freaking delay them? Delay these games. We get plenty of games on freaking Game Pass, whatever. Just delay these games. Bring them out. Do what Sony does. Bring them out. Stop giving the media and everyone, the ammunition that they need to keep trashing Xbox, because this kind of stuff really hurts the optics. I said this last time when it came to the freaking when it came to Redfall. Don't do that. Do not launch this game at 30 frames per second. It is going to destroy it. And that's exactly what happened. Now nobody talks about it. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about that game. It's forgotten the time. And I actually enjoyed playing Redfall. I didn't think it was a terrible game. I don't know what's going on with Xbox, man. And then they're going to put games on PlayStation, stuff like that. Like, I personally don't care if they put games on PlayStation. I know that there's a lot of other people out there that feel strongly about, like, you know, they're worried. And I get that. Like, I understand that you're worried about Xbox and the future of Xbox. You've got a lot of time. You've got a lot of emotion invested in it. You've got a lot of money invested in your Xbox, in the platform, you know, in the ecosystem. And that's fine. Like, I get that. But at this point, guys, I don't think there's any real reason to worry about Xbox not continuing to make hardware. Obviously, they just bought freaking Activision, so I don't think they're going to just up and get out of making video games anytime soon. They're going to continue to build Xboxes. They're going to continue to build the platform. If they start putting more games on third-party systems, it is what it is. More people get to play that game. More revenue is going to come in. It'll be a lot better for Xbox to continue to make the games that we love and want to play. There's nothing wrong with that. And it's crazy, man. Once you go to PC and you see how things on PC work, you've got multiple different launchers that you can choose from. You can buy whatever you want. And you can play whatever you want on your freaking PC. And so when you get when you get a taste of complete openness on PC, it is very hard to contain yourself and confine yourself to a console experience. It gets very hard. It's almost like, oh my gosh, dude, I can't think straight when PlayStation keeps locking me to that PlayStation 5 to play games that I would love to play on the PC. Games that would run fabulously on the PC. I'm locked to a PlayStation 5 that has limitations that I don't want to have to pick and choose anymore. And me personally, guys, I'm grateful that I made PC my main platform. I've been having such a blast going back, buying and playing old games that it just doesn't matter to me anymore. Like, I'm not insecure about my gaming experience anymore. I have everything I need now, and I'm excited about that. I'm happy about that. So, yeah, man, I agree with Doc Dark 100%. We need to start at least pushing Xbox to deliver on the promise of 60 FPS. They have to, man. We have to. If PlayStation can put out all their games at 60 frames a second, I mean, don't get me wrong, man. Starfield is a good-looking game, and it runs very well on the PC platform. But you got to understand, dude, it really did take them more time to get like FSR3 and to get freaking DLSS and to get all of these other technologies into that game. I mean, it's clear that they were flying by the seat of their pants to get that game out the freaking door. It's clear. It's clear. So at the end of the day, these are my thoughts on it. At the end of the day, guys, maybe they should have just delayed the game instead of putting it out like this. And I mean, this kind of stuff doesn't look good, man. The optics don't look good on this. If you already put in a bunch of time into Starfield, man, and then they come out and they're like, "Oh yeah, dude, you could have had a great experience the whole time." You know, because I'm going to tell you guys right now, the difference between 30 frames per second on Starfield and a minimum of 60, that's pretty drastic. Like, in my opinion, like the more fluid, you know, gameplay of playing it on the PC, that felt incredible to play that. The gunfights felt good. The exploration felt good. The flying felt good. It was such a good experience playing it on the PC that I'm grateful that the Xbox guys are finally getting a 60 FPS experience for Starfield. And I'm glad that Doc is standing his ground, because that's true, man. Like, Doc was a firm believer in freaking in Xbox Series X. And then when you see PlayStation dropping all their games at 60 frames per second, and then you look at Xbox and they're like, well, here's a 30 frames per second game and it's barely finished and it's buggy and it's not working and shit. It gets frustrating, man. Like, that kind of stuff gets frustrating. But Yeah, dude. I mean, even Forza Motorsport, came out and kind of not finished, and it's almost like, dude, it's almost like Xbox was winding down before they got like a boost of like energy or something, and they're like, all right, man, let's go ahead and try to turn the ship around. I like Xbox, man. At the end of the day, I like Xbox. I love the ecosystem. I'm forgiving enough to be like, yeah, I kind of forgive them for this stuff. I'm not too mad at Xbox. You know what I mean? Like, it's not the end of the world, guys. It's just video games, but it does suck, man. And I hope that Xbox can learn something from this and come back and start delivering on that power, on the promises of the Xbox Series X, because I think there is untapped potential in these consoles, and I would like to see it. Like, I would like to see them fully utilized. I'm gonna hang on to my Series X and my PS5, and let's see how the rest of this generation goes. Hopefully Xbox turns this around. So, all right, guys, we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.